Hi everybody, in this video we're going to look at how we can assemble our components to form a more complex assembly. So the first thing we're going to do is set our working directory, make sure that this is set to a location where your part files are. Okay, so mine are in this Creo Primer folder, so just make sure that's set okay. And then we're going to go new, and instead of part we're going to click on assembly. And we're going to put in a name for this. So let's call it kit underscore kit assembly. Again, we're going to untick this default template and click OK. So let's select our units. So if we go millimeters, just there, and click OK. So you'll see now we're in the graphical area, but the menu should be slightly different because we're in an assembly file. This menu is slightly different to what you would see within a part file, as you've got these new options here. Okay, so we're able to assemble our components. The first thing we're going to do is import the cube component. So if we click assemble, and you'll see that obviously because we set the working directory, I'm in the correct folder for my parts. So I've got the corner cube just there. And we're going to click. What you can actually do is you can change this to thumbnail so you can sort of see what part you're selecting as well. That can be quite useful. So we're going to click corner cube, click open. You can see that we've now opened up the corner cube part within our assembly. Now there are a couple of ways we can move this around. So we've got this dragger. If we click on any of these arrows, it moves them within these planes. We can rotate it. We can do whatever you want. If you click the center here, you can literally move it however you like. I wouldn't necessarily recommend that because it's quite difficult to position things in 3D space when you've only got a 2D mouse. Okay, so for this first part, I'm happy if we just align all our coordinate systems, as this is just going to be a fixed component. So if we come to the top here, where it says automatic, change this to default. So all that's really doing is aligning the coordinate system from our component with the coordinate system within the assembly. And you'll see that it's gone like this yellowy orange color. That basically means that it's fully fixed. So if we have a look at the placement tab here, you see that it's default here, and that means that everything's fixed. And if we have a look at the status, it says fully constrained. So we can click OK. And we've basically positioned our first component. And if we have a look at the model tree now, we've got one corner cube within this. So I'm just going to click save and click OK there. Now what we're going to do is add a strut to the assembly. So let's do this. We are going to go assemble and then click on the strut, click open, and you can see now we have this strut here within our assembly. So it's quite good practice actually if we do use these arrows to try and get it as close to where we would like it to go as possible. Okay, so I just used the arrows to move it closer to the hole that we're going to position it into. So what we're going to do now is position it. So if I click on this surface here, and then this surface, what we've done is align those two. And what we can do, and also if we notice, you can see how it's been constrained. So aligning those two, the shaft and the hole together, we've removed a lot of the degrees of freedom. So now I'm only able to move it in this direction or rotate it. So to position this, the next thing I want to do is make sure that this surface is touching this surface here. So if I click on this surface and then click on this surface, okay, it's made it coincident. And you can see that we've now changed color as well. So we're orange. So that means that this part is fully placed. So it's fully constrained. So we can click OK. So let's press Ctrl D to go back to our default view. Obviously now we've got our two parts in here. You know, the color's a bit boring and it's a little bit difficult to differentiate between the two of them. So what we're going to do now is add some color to our part. So we can actually open up any of these parts in our own windows. So if I click on corner cube here, and you can go here and go open. We can open up that part. And what we're going to do is change the color. So if we go along to the View tab at the top, click on this little drop down here, you can see that we've got some colors that we can use. So there's a library of different colors. And I'm going to click on this yellow one here. And then I'm going to click on corner cube at the top. That highlights the whole part. And then press the middle mouse button. And I've now applied this color to my component. If I click save, and then if I go back to my kit assembly, so there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can use this little menu at the top, or you can just highlight it using Windows. So you can see I've changed the color of that component. Let's do the same thing for the strut. So if I click on strut, open, then we can go to view. Let's change this to green. Click there, press the middle mouse button, save. Now the important thing here is that if you want your color to remain, so you can color components within the assembly view here, but they'll only be colored in the assembly view. Whereas if you do it at component level, it always stays that color. Now what we're going to do is assemble some more struts. And to do this, what we can do is copy our original component. So if I right click here, click copy, and then we can right click again and paste. Okay, so now we've got this part. And actually what it's now doing is looking for the constraints that we used before. So it's looking for us to tell it. So it's saying this shaft, where does it need to be coincident to? So if I click this hole here, you can see that we're starting to sort of position this correctly. And then I can also click this surface. Okay, so I've got a bit of an issue here. It's interfering with the model. So if I click on placement, and you can see here, this shows us our constraints. So the two constraints that we've just set. And I'm just going to flip this coincident one with the surfaces here. Okay, so now we've got it in the correct position. And I click OK. So now I'm just going to go along and add in all the remainder of the components to complete this assembly. So we'll just finally save, and we're all done.